By the end of this video, you'll be able to write a Claude.md file that helps Claude understand your project context and goals, making it a more effective collaborator. You'll learn how to structure this file for maximum clarity. Writing a great Claude.md is crucial because it's the first thing Claude reads when you introduce it to your project. This file is your chance to provide context, explain your goals, and guide Claude's understanding of what you're trying to achieve. Think of it as a project manual tailored specifically for Claude. A well-written Claude.md file can save you time and frustration down the line by ensuring Claude generates relevant and accurate code. To get started, let's break down what makes a great Claude.md file. We'll cover the essential sections, formatting, and best practices. You'll see how to create a clear and concise project overview, list your dependencies, and specify the tasks you want Claude to perform. By following these steps, you'll be able to create a Claude.md file that helps Claude understand your project's unique needs. Your next step is to create a new file named Claude.md in the root directory of your project, and we'll take it from there. Vocabulary, collaboration, clarity, context, dependencies. By the end of this, you'll be able to set up your project so Claude can easily understand its layout. To start, make sure your project is organized in a way that makes it easy for Claude to navigate. This means creating a clear directory structure. You want to keep related files together, like all your configuration files in one place and your code in another. For example, you might have a directory called config for your configuration files and another called src for your source code. Keep your file names concise, too. Instead of fileName.txt, use something like readme.txt or settings.json. This will make it easier for you to reference these files in your Claude.md file later on. So, create a new directory for your project, and inside that, create subdirectories for your config files, source code, and any other related files. Name these directories something clear like config, src, and docs. Now, think about the files you'll need to include in your project, like a readme.md file or a requirements.txt file. Create these files in their respective directories. By setting up your project like this, you're making it easy for Claude to understand how everything fits together, which will make writing your Claude.md file a lot simpler. Next, try creating a new directory for your project and set up your initial directory structure. What directories will you need, and what files will you include in each one? By the end of this, you'll be able to create a clear and effective Claude.md file that helps Claude understand your project. You'll start by creating a new file named Claude.md in your project's root directory. Open your terminal, navigate to your project's root directory, and run the command touch Claude.md to create the file. Now, open this file in your favorite text editor. First, add a project overview section. This should be a brief description of what your project does and what problem it solves. Use markdown headers, like #project_overview, to format this section and make it easy to read. Next, add a section for key concepts. This is where you'll define any important terms or ideas that are specific to your project. Use markdown bullet points to list these concepts and make them easy to scan. Now, add a section specifically for Claude. This is where you'll provide instructions on how to interact with your project. Use markdown code blocks to format any code examples, and be sure to include specific instructions on how to use your project's API or other interfaces. By following these steps, you'll create a clear and effective Claude.md file that helps Claude understand your project. To get started, try adding a project overview section to your Claude.md file right now, using the #project_overview header and a brief description of your project. By the end of this, you'll be able to write a clear and effective Claude.md file that helps Claude understand your project's objectives and scope. Let's take a look at a sample Claude.md file. You've got a project where you're building a simple chatbot, and you want Claude to assist with generating responses. Your Claude.md file might start with a project overview, like this. This project aims to create a chatbot that provides helpful and informative responses to user queries. Next, you'll outline the scope of work for Claude, what tasks you want Claude to perform, and what kind of output you're expecting. For example, Claude will generate responses to user input, using a combination of natural language processing and machine learning algorithms. You'll also want to provide any necessary background information or constraints, such as the chatbot should be able to understand and respond to basic user queries, such as what is the weather like today, or how do I get to the airport? By including this information in your Claude.md file, you'll be able to give Claude the context it needs to effectively assist with your project. Now, let's take a closer look at the actual file contents. Open up your favorite text editor and create a new file called Claude.md. Start by adding a header that describes your project, followed by a brief overview of the scope of work and any relevant background information. To get started, try copying this sample content into your Claude.md file. Project overview. Simple chatbot. Scope of work. Generate responses to user input using NLP and ML algorithms. You've written your Claude.md, and now it's time to see how well Claude understands your project. To do this, you'll test Claude's comprehension by issuing specific prompts and evaluating the responses. This step is crucial because it helps you identify areas where your Claude.md might need refinement. Start by opening your project in the Claude code editor or any other code editor you prefer, and make sure your Claude.md file is saved and up to date. Next, use the Claude API to send a prompt to your project, something like explain the purpose of the main function in my project. Then, carefully evaluate Claude's response. Does it accurately reflect your project's intent and functionality? If not, it's time to refine your Claude.md. Go back to your Claude.md file and add more details, clarify any ambiguous points, or rephrase sections that might be confusing Claude. Repeat this process of prompting, evaluating, and refining until Claude's responses consistently demonstrate a strong understanding of your project. By doing so, you ensure that your Claude.md is effective in communicating your project's complexity to Claude, leading to more accurate and relevant outputs. Now, try issuing a prompt to your project and see how Claude responds. What adjustments will you need to make to your Claude.md to get the desired outcomes? By the end of this, you'll be able to create a Claude.md file that supercharges your project collaboration with Claude. You've seen how to write a great Claude.md, from setting up the basics to testing and refining it. Now it's time to put it all into practice. Take the concepts we've covered and apply them to your current project. Create a Claude.md file that clearly describes your project, including its goals, requirements, and any specific guidance for Claude. Focus on making it concise and easy to understand, so Claude can quickly get up to speed and start assisting you effectively. As you work on your Claude.md, remember to regularly test and refine it, ensuring it stays aligned with your project's evolution. With a well-crafted Claude.md, you'll notice a significant improvement in your collaboration experience with Claude. So, go ahead and give it a try. Create your Claude.md file now and see the difference for yourself. If you want to stay updated on the latest tips and best practices for working with Claude, consider subscribing to our channel for more practical tutorials and workflow guides. Vocabulary, collaboration, concise, refine, subscribe.